This podcast is scheduled for one fall.
Whoa, who let you out of the basement? Let me do this. This podcast is scheduled for one fall, and I'm still not reading any of this other crap you wrote, so just click your buttons and start the show.
Hello, people, and thank you for joining us today on the Gimmick Table. I'm your host, Matt, and as always, across from me, the Detective Rosewood to my Axel Foley, he is Bats.
The heat is back on, everybody, because we're back.
I'll give you credit for that one. But I gotta say, the reason that I'm the Axel Foley here is because I got you to do this show in the first place. And guys, it is really good to be back. We took a few weeks off, but hey, it happens from time to time. We got a lot of great episodes coming up over the next few weeks, and in a few moments, we're going to be joined by our guest, Isys Ephex. But before we do, we want to tell you about Excite versus the World, taking place on April 29, 2018 at the American Legion Post 80 in Binghamton, New York. You're going to get Excite heavyweight champion Joe Gacy defending his title against Sean Carr. And Scott Steiner will be going against Binghamton's own Axel Lennox, plus much more. So get your tickets today at excitewrestling.com/shop. And get ready for Excite versus the World on April 29th at the American Legion Post 80 in Binghamton, New York. Doors open at 4 p.m., bell time at 5 p.m. And if you can't catch the show live, stream it on Twitch at twitch.tv/ExciteWrestling. And Bats, we haven't done this in a few weeks, so let's just get into everything. Please join us in welcoming to the Gimmick Table, Isys Ephex. How goes it today?
Pretty good, guys. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. It's a little warmer than it's been the last few weeks. It's kind of like a heat wave here in Binghamton. It'll be negative 20 tomorrow, though, because it's always like that in Binghamton.
There'll be snow on the car tomorrow morning.
It's supposed to be warm going into the weekend.
That's what they say, but you never know. The weather here does wild things.
Well, let's hope for that warm weather.
Thank you again for doing this. Thank you to Austin for helping us set up. I do apologize for the miscommunication the first time around with him not knowing that we were taking a week off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's all good, man.
Now, he also did tell me that you are a fan of suspenders.
Yeah, that's 100% true. I wore suspenders yesterday.
Well, the reason he told me that is because I've been on like a mission to convert him into start wearing them every day.
I feel like if you're a belt wearer, if you switch to suspenders, you will completely lose interest in wearing a belt.
People don't believe me when I tell them that it's liberating.
It's way better.
No, you're right. I mean, people make fun of me for wearing them all the time, but I don't care.
That's funny. Nobody makes fun of me for it.
Well, you're probably also a lot bigger than me. I'm 150 pounds. So probably...
Okay. I'm a little heavier than you.
Yeah,
a little bit.
You're probably a little more... And a lot taller, so you're probably a little more intimidating than I am. So you probably can get away with wearing suspenders where people just like to pick on me.
I think it's because I look real happy wearing them, so nobody wants to rain on my parade.
All right, so I'm going to just have to overkill the joy while I'm wearing suspenders.
Yes.
I'm going to end up in the loony bin for that, though. They already think I'm nuts at my job. They really do.
Yeah, you just like walk around like looping your thumbs behind them, like pulling them out, going, "Hey, everybody!"
I do snap them, and people think that's really weird.
Not that weird.
But people always try to snap them on me as well.
Are they just regular suspenders?
Yeah, I want to get the pair that like
Okay.
you can actually like. I want to sew buttons into my pants, so I can get the ones that loop in there. See, I'm kind of doing it the half-ass way with the clip-ons.
The clip-ons are fine, man. You're getting into expensive stuff when you start getting all your pants custom-made to wear suspenders.
Well, I figured I could just try to sew them in there, a little DIY tailoring in my basement.
Okay.
Do it up, bro.
That'll be my next pet
I don't know, but
project.
wouldn't you just want like a bunch of different clip-on ones?
Yeah, I feel like it'd be a lot cheaper and a lot more variety, but...
And like, then you wouldn't have to have the same shirt for all the pairs of pants?
No. Like, when you have the suspenders, you can get as many suspenders you want. You just have the pants, a variety of pants with the buttons already sewn in.
Yeah.
And then you just throw the suspenders on. You can have any shirt you want. You can have no shirt if you so desire.
That would get me in trouble at work. I tried to ask him how, because if I could hem all the sleeves off my shirt, so all my shirts were basically sleeveless dress shirts.
What?
Yeah.
But they'd be hemmed, so it would still be within dress code because they're not torn or tattered. They didn't go for that.
Don't think you're allowed to wear sleeveless shirts.
But it'd still be a dress shirt. I'd still have a tie and my suspenders on.
I mean, if you go by the letter of the law, I think they either have to put up with it or modify the dress code.
You might be able to pull it off, I guess.
Maybe. We will have to see. All right, so let's get to you. Now, looking back...
Oh, you want to talk about wrestling?
Yeah. I didn't expect...
That's what I'm here for.
I didn't expect suspenders to go for so long. But you
I
actually...
didn't check the clock, but it has.
Whatever, we don't care. There's actually no format to this show. We kind of just go with whatever happens.
Except for all these questions you have written down.
That's just to give us a base. Because it would really be off topic if we didn't have questions.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. But going to you in the wrestling, started back in 1999, but before ever pursuing professional wrestling, when were you first introduced to it as a fan?
The first time I remember seeing it, I think was 7 years old. I remember seeing the WWF Superstars show. My first actual memory of anyone I saw on television was Brutus Beefcake.
That's quite the larger-than-life character, and that's definitely going to stick out in your mind.
Yeah, he's a maniac.
Now, who were some of the wrestlers that you kind of connected to early on as a kid?
Things get hazy, but as a kid, I definitely remember, I liked Brutus, I liked Hogan, I liked Warrior. The ones that, really stand out from single digits into my teens was Warrior, in single digits, because I remember when he beat Hogan, and I was like, this is amazing. And Sid Vicious, I was in love with at, 10, 11, 12, 13. I just thought he was insane.
All right. So now when do you realize that you want to be a professional wrestler?
I would say probably pretty young, because, when kids see astronauts or policemen on TV, they immediately like, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to do. It was probably the same thing. I would definitely say very young.
And then how old are you when you start to go and look for a place to actually train, and how do you go about finding a place to train?
I think it was when I turned 18. Do you know the Syracuse area at all, or no? Anything about wrestling from this area?
Vaguely.
Okay. There were guys that had a public access wrestling show called the UWA, and we had known about and through interactions with these guys who they were, and I think I turned 18 and I sent a message through AOL to one of the guys that was there about starting to train.
And do you recall kind of what the beginning of training was like for you? What some of the most difficult aspects were for you to grasp?
When I started, I feel like I took to it very naturally. I would say the hardest thing for me was not the wrestling as much as the cardiovascular and getting myself in shape, weightlifting-wise, to do it.
And going from there to now, what do you kind of contribute to being able to grow your in-ring abilities?
As you get older, you have a better understanding of your own body, and you begin to watch wrestling, past and present, and you pick up things and you watch it more as studying tape than you do as just a fan sometimes. And then when you get to wrestle certain wrestlers who you have not wrestled anyone like them, or their skill level and ability is noticeably better than yours, so you kind of you pull from them and they pull you up to where they are if you are open and willing to learn.
And for you, is there anybody in particular that you faced that was able to do that for you?
Eddie Edwards. I will always say that. I feel like I was at a certain point, and I thought that I was fairly decent as a wrestler. And then when I wrestled him after he had come back here from Noah, it was like wrestling somebody who I hadn't wrestled before, and picking up things from him that he was doing normally at that point allowed me to add the same sort of things to my wrestling.
And outside of him, was there anybody else that you were able to draw from as well?
You mean outside of the people I train with, or
just in general, anybody that you faced that really, when you got in there with them, you felt afterwards you were able to really elevate your game? Going
back before him, that was probably in my mid-20s, and I went from being, an average indie wrestler to, I think, being, a little above that. And before that, wrestling with Zachary Springate, who first person to ever train me, along with Tracy Smothers and Tommy Rich. We had all been in this one organization wrestling each other for a 4-day stretch, learning the working side of wrestling as opposed to the just wrestling side. With those three guys all saying slow down, and this is where you do this, and this is where we do this. I would say that was an early on big help.
All right, so now outside of just the in-ring abilities, how have you worked to kind of develop your gimmick?
That's one thing I always say. I don't know if it's luck or what have you, but I just am who I am. So I don't really know how to be anyone else. I just sort of you enter a world that is supposed to be fantasy, but the people who are most successful in having people identify with them are people who are real. So a lot of times when I do promos or decide, even what to wear, it's just my natural personality of who I am. And I say, okay, I can't do this in my normal life because, walking around the streets, they'll pick you up and lock you away. So I just use it there.
Right, yeah, I mean, we've definitely heard a lot of times the best gimmicks, so-called, are when you are yourself, but you turn it up to 11.
Spinal Tap would tell you to turn it up that high. My amp only goes to 10, though.
But it still has to be difficult to even though it's yourself, you have to go and project yourself much larger than you actually are in real life, and that has to be a challenge within itself. How do you kind of get over that?
If you're not a performer, I think that it's hard. When you're first starting out, I tell some of the guys that I help train that pick out who your favorite guys are from history and take things from them and try and put that mask on of who they are and then project yourself through it, if that makes any sense.
That is a crazy metaphor-ish. Metaphor?
But I mean, no, I don't think it is. But pressing on. I remember being younger and liking guys like Tony Atlas and Jimmy Garvin, and I would try to put their persona on myself to try and get myself out.
Okay, like try on a couple different masks to see which one fits the best and go with that.
Yeah.
All right.
And then, if you have like a shy child, I'm sure, what is it? The movie Big Daddy. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Okay. Adam Sandler and the kid, right? He gives the kid the sunglasses, and he doesn't take them off until he's, more comfortable with that person. It's a very similar thing where you figure out a persona that you identify with, that you think is interesting, that you hope people will think is interesting. You put that on, and you do that until you are comfortable with who you are, and then it's almost like, it just slides off, and the transition is seamless because now you're just being you.
Okay.
But you bring up a good point that you mentioned. Even though, you may become comfortable with yourself, you may be invested into it, you still have to make sure that the fans are getting over with it, because that's the most important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, somebody's told me that. This may sound weird. I have never been someone who has purposely tried to get over with the fans as much as I've tried to get over what I'm doing, and if it's not working, I say, give it a minute, we'll try it out, we'll keep going, and eventually they'll get on board. If you're doing it and you're doing it right, eventually they'll come along.
Right, and that also works in a way because then there's no pressure there, for the fans either. You're not trying to sell yourself to them. It's just something that grows organically and that they appreciate, and that's really the best way for it to happen.
Right. I think young guys, especially, because they get antsy, they get anxious. They want to please the fans so much, so quickly that they almost let the fans dictate who they are and what they're going to do, as opposed to performing for them and letting them figure out if they like you or if they don't like you.
Definitely, and if you're not dictated by what somebody else is telling you what to do in that sense of it, you're allowing yourself to grow. You're going to be able to try new things that maybe if you think the fans aren't going to like it, you're never going to try, and you're never going to truly know if it's something that they would get interested in and invested into.
Right. It's as much as we're talking about wrestling, I mean, it's nothing more than someone's life. Being comfortable with who you are to see how other people feel about you, as opposed to closeting yourself from anything just to try to appease people.
Definitely. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, because a lot of times, we're sitting here, we are talking about wrestling, but a lot of the things, that we talk about, people can apply to their everyday life, and it's...
Yeah, I mean, there are people who are going to tell you what life is and how to do it, but those are the same people who have never been you and don't know how to be you. So just go out every day and be the best version of yourself that you can be. Hey, some people are going to like it, some people aren't going to like it.
Right. Those are the same people that are, sitting on social media complaining about what everybody else is doing because they're not out doing anything.
Yeah. I won't get too crazy. I'll save that. We'll go on to whatever I'm talking about.
All right. So we did have a chance to speak with Cloudy, and we know you guys are tag team partners down in Excite Wrestling. But do you have a preference between single or tag team wrestling?
Right now, I think I like tag team wrestling more. When I started, I did tag a lot, and then I didn't tag for maybe like 10 years. I just didn't do any like real tags, and then I think I messaged Cloudy one day and asked him what he thought about us doing a tag team thing, and he does 47 tag teams with 45 different partners. So I figured I would jump in.
He makes it rain.
Yes, Cloudy makes it rain.
Another thing we did ask him about, and we want to know what you think, when are you guys going to start really getting on Moose to get some tag team titles going in Excite Wrestling?
I've been talking about it since we started tagging. I talked to the old owner down there about tag team titles all the time. He says that's the direction we're working in.
Well, we told Cloudy that you guys got to get a petition going the next time you guys are down there. We told him we'll bring the clipboards, we'll bring the paperwork.
Have you ever seen a petition really work?
No, you're right. Well, that's not true. One time, I did see a petition work.
Tell me about it. Tell me about this petition that worked.
We petitioned for one of the other managers where I work to shave his god-awful mustache. And he shaved his mustache. And his husband was so mad because he begged him to shave his mustache for the wedding and he wouldn't. But my petition got him to shave the mustache and it has not been brought back since.
That's how you get killed in your sleep right there.
Wait, he shaved it after the wedding?
Yeah, this was after the wedding.
Oh, my God.
Well, how I get killed? Well, he should get killed in his sleep. I didn't do
No,
it.
I'm talking about him.
Yeah.
You don't shave for your husband for the wedding day, and then you shave because some dude got people to sign a piece of paper.
Yeah.
That's how you get killed in your sleep.
Does that make me an accomplice to murder, though? I hope not.
It makes you a catalyst.
Yeah, it's tough.
There's no crime against being a catalyst, sir.
I didn't go to school for that.
Yeah, I was never a very good lawyer.
Yeah, I wonder if there is something in there about like just egging on someone enough to commit a crime.
I don't know. Who knows?
I would say there's not direct causation, so you're all right.
You said you do kind of prefer tag team wrestling right now. How do you think that's helped your overall in-ring abilities and things like that?
It hides when I'm tired because I got someone to tag and they can come in and do stuff. Tag team wrestling is just different. You have to think about it differently when you're going to the match than you would a singles. And Cloudy being in tag stuff for so long, he just kind of wakes me up and says, "Hey, it's your turn to do stuff," and I do stuff.
Well, I mean, that's not even like a bad point, like saying you're too tired or whatever, because it does make the match more interesting to have fresh legs out there all the time.
Yeah, I did when I was doing singles and I was in much better shape than I am today. I would have no problem doing 25, 30 minutes singles, and I don't think I could do that right now. More because I'm not in the same shape as 36 as I was at 26.
All right.
And the way that wrestling is now, I feel like the match times have shrunk, so you don't get that on a regular basis of wrestling for a longer period of time.
Yeah, matches do seem to be a lot so shorter. I think it's because we all have ADHD, but
Everybody.
yeah.
Well, everybody now is running a very important television show. Every indie is now a super important television show that they all have to hit their
True.
times and their marks for their TV.
Very good point.
There was a time when wrestling happened and people filmed it so you could have a show. But now it is much more you're filming a TV show that just happens to be wrestling.
A lot of people used to say that, especially during like the Monday Night Wars, that the WWE, WWF was a wrestling company, while WCW was, a television network that had a wrestling TV show.
Yeah, I would say that the WWF, or the New York territory, as it was once said, was always much more of a big production as opposed to wrestling that was being filmed. And when Turner bought the Georgia WCW stuff, it was turned into a television show as opposed to wrestling that was on television.
Right.
My opinion.
Yeah, but I also, like you said, though, I think it's also because I think if you did that now, like with the WWE, if you say, if, like, for instance, I know everybody talks about, like, rumors, oh, Disney's going to buy the WWE, you might see a different product because the people that run Disney don't have the same knowledge as who's running it now.
Right, but now the WWE has a lot of writers who are not wrestling writers, they're TV writers. So, I mean, that direction is already gone that way.
You're right there, yeah. They do have a lot of TV writers there. Now, another thing I wanted to just swing back to is the one thing you kind of said about the tag wrestling. And trust me, I know nothing about being in the ring, but I have to kind of just assume that because you have 4 people in there, it kind of requires you to be more creative with what you're doing. And that can only help to kind of even expand what you're doing and your creativity in a singles competition as well.
I would say that the creativity is the same on both sides, singles to tag. It's just, it's a different animal. It's like lions and tigers are both cats, but they're completely different cats. You know what I'm saying? Like the same creativity that you have in singles, you can bring to tag team wrestling. It just involves more people. The ideas and the principles are identical. You're incorporating more individuals.
Gotcha. Yeah. Now, is there any particular moment, like during your whole career, where you kind of felt fully confident in what you were doing as a performer?
Nope.
Do you think Do you think that's a good thing though? That you kind of aren't confident? Does that keep you more self-aware in the ring?
I have a very good confidence about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But if I'm not in the ring getting ready, my opponent coming out or what have you, and I'm not thinking about the things that I want to do in not a nervous way, but an anxious way, then I don't care about being there. And if I don't care about being there, then something is wrong. When I come back after wrestling and I'm talking about the match, a lot of people when you go out there, they say have fun, or when you come back and you ask somebody how the match was, and they're like, oh, it was a lot of fun, blah, blah, blah. And I always say, I'm not there to have fun. I'm just there to do it right. Like, I'm not, if I have fun while I'm doing it right, cool. But the most important thing for me is to, you have a concept and an idea when you go out there, and when the match is done, it's the actualization of that concept. And if you've done that correctly to get there, then that's what you're doing, and that's what people will see, as opposed to when somebody watches the match and the match is over, they have seen a full story. I don't want them to watch my match and think, that was a good idea, but I just don't know if it made any sense in the end.
Right, you make that plan, and executing that plan is what you're all about.
Yeah, when you have an artist like a painter, or you have an artist who is making music, do they have fun getting to the final product? Yes, but their whole idea isn't, I don't make a song because I want to have fun. I don't paint a painting because I want to have fun. I have an idea, and I want to make that idea go from inside my head to a tangible piece of art, or a tangible song that people can listen to.
Nice. That's really a really good way of looking at it.
What the inside of my head is like, man. I'm just trying to explain it to you guys.
No, it's actually one of the coolest perspectives that we've actually ever heard.
Yeah. Everybody says it's an art form, but you really actually just
elaborated on how it's an art form better than anybody we've really ever spoken to. It clicked.
Well, I'm glad I could do that for you. Maybe that's why I can help train people, because of whatever that is that's in my mind. You ever listen to an athlete after a big game where he's won in any sport, and they almost all sound the same? Like they're just repeating things that they've heard other winners say?
Yes.
I would much rather hear the MVP of the Super Bowl tell me exactly how he got there, as opposed to being like, I just gotta thank God, and we went out there and we all played our hardest, and we we made it, and here I am with the MVP. Like, yeah, I get it. That's what everyone has ever said before you. Tell me what you were thinking about during the game. Tell me how you felt preparing for the game. Tell me how you got that MVP trophy in your hand.
Right, like the best after-game speeches are the ones when they're like, this moment in the game was where it all turned around for us, and this is where we all started clicking together.
Right, as opposed to, we all played our hardest, and we gave 110%, and
Go team.
blah, blah, blah.
Only give 100%. It's not physically possible to give
Well,
110%.
I know you can't give 110%. How many people have I ever heard say that?
Right, that's my point. I wasn't saying it to you. I'm talking to these people that constantly say I can give 110%.
I don't have it.
I'm maxed out at 100. I usually max out at 75.
I once worked as a bartender in a bar, and weird, right? And I said to my boss, I said, listen, I will give you 85% every single day, not a percentage point over, but always get 100, or you always get 85%. And he said, you know what? Most people come in here and tell me they're going to do great things and give me way less than 85. I'll take your 85.
Solid offer.
Honesty's the best policy. You didn't bullshit him. You didn't give him, thank God for this speech. This is all because of him. We worked really hard, 110%.
God gave us that extra 10%. That's the 10%, man. It's God.
I had never looked at it that way. I haven't started praying yet, but maybe I'll start praying for 10%.
Gotta get the Holy Spirit in there.
I need at least 30 if I'm going to do that.
I want more than 10%.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna invest that much.
I think that's a negotiation you have to discuss with whatever God you subscribe to.
Throw him out at 150. Maybe he'll counter with 125.
Yeah, well, that's usually, you go high to get what you want.
As someone who has seen and read about a bunch of different gods, if you're going to go for the 50%, I think Zeus is your best opportunity.
He's gonna make you pay for it in the long run.
Yeah,
though.
but he might impregnate my girlfriend, and I'll have a little Hercules running around here. Although that,
Well, do you want 50% or not?
I do.
Well, then you got to deal with that.
All right. I just hope she's okay with it. But he's Zeus. He's got to be charming.
I don't think Zeus is.
Have you seen his kids too? Like you read about his kids? None of them turned out very well either.
I'm just saying that's what you got to be willing to give up if you want that extra 50%.
All right.
It's true.
I'm gonna say no. I wouldn't take the 100 or the extra 50% because she'll probably kill me when she listens to this. So, no, I wouldn't do that.
You're gonna end up like the guy with
The mustache.
no mustache.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you could go like hardcore Buddhism, and then you'd never actually have to use the extra 50%.
Also, the 50% wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Exactly. You'd just be perfect. I don't know. You'd get to talk to Buddha.
All right. I'm good with 80. What did I say, 75? I'm going back to 75. It's way more simpler, and I don't got to talk to anybody about it.
Right, and it's all your own. It's your own 75%.
Right. I don't want that artificial percentage.
Yeah.
Now, like we said in the beginning of the episode, you debuted back in 1999. 19 years. What keeps you going after all this time?
I don't know what else to do with myself. I've I've thought about quitting wrestling, and I don't say retire because I did not make a living off of wrestling. It was
No 401k?
No, there was no. Not one of those. There ain't no K's, bro. But when you haven't been on television, you didn't spend the majority of your life wrestling. I've always considered that when I stop wrestling, I will be quitting or just not being booked anymore, as opposed to retiring.
But now you say you also train people, so I mean, would you feel that you would fall more into just that role in professional wrestling, where you would just be training all the time, opposed to going out and doing shows and helping out in that way?
It's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what will be the thing that finally makes me stop wrestling. So I don't know where I'll be in my head. So I can't say that I would still train more or be gone altogether. It's one of those up in the air things.
You kind of letting fate decide when your career ends here.
No, no, I'm not. I am just. I'm saying that I don't have all the information today, so I can't tell you about the future.
Fair enough. But you never know what's going to happen. You don't know how anything's going to end, really. So you can't really you can have ideas of what you want to do, but until it happens, you can't really make a decision.
Cross that bridge when you get to it.
Yeah, there's obviously having a solid game plan and a direction you want to go in, and having small individual goals that will hopefully get you to your larger goal. But when it comes to wrestling right now, I don't really know what my goal is at this point, other than to wrestle for as long as people are still interested in seeing me wrestle, and that I still have some sort of story to tell people, and I need wrestling as a creative outlet. It is my opinion that I currently need wrestling a lot more than wrestling needs me.
Well, like any artist, when does a painter stop painting? When does a singer stop singing? They don't.
Yeah, one day you will sing your last song, but you don't necessarily know it's your last song until it's completely over.
And that's a good way to look at it. And I know you say it's not always about having fun, it's about doing it right, but having that kind of mentality almost has to make it a little bit more enjoyable than it might for some others.
Yeah, I enjoy wrestling. Just because I say that the point of my match isn't to have a good time, doesn't mean that I don't have a good time.
Well, like you said, you really enjoy, making those plans and executing those plans, and that's, like a hobby, but also, you're working out, you're doing all kinds of things. It's like a whole lifestyle.
Right. Yeah, it absolutely is. And, people always tell you, if wrestling is just a hobby, then get out of it so other people can do it, or if you're just pretending to be a wrestler, then, get out of it and let real wrestlers, do what they do. Is wrestling a hobby for me? Sure. Just like, somebody who knits sweaters and things like that, that's their hobby, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't knit a fantastic sweater that can be sold for money.
Right.
So it's like, people have a lot of opinions on it, and you got to understand that, most people, everybody with an opinion is usually formed from the information that they receive about whatever it is. Now, if the information is not correct and you form an opinion on something with all the wrong information, then you obviously shouldn't necessarily be listened to as an authority on something.
No, definitely. There's tons of people who, even just saying their hobbies became their second career or whatever, like tons of people who didn't know necessarily they were really good at cooking and just started cooking really good or baking really good and opened up a restaurant or a bakery. And, that's the path they took. They turned their hobby to a career, but it's still their hobby because that's what they love doing.
Correct. Totally agree with you. Not everybody, especially people in wrestling, will say differently because they talk about the business, and you're in the business of making money. And if your goal isn't to make $1 million in wrestling, then you shouldn't be wrestling. I don't agree with that.
Right. Well, because if there's not people there that love it, things aren't even going to get done. If you think about it, the people that come there and just help out with shows and things like that, to the people performing in the ring, if you don't love it, it's not going to be the best that it can be.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Anytime with anything that money is involved, once you start caring about the money more than what it is you're doing, the quality is always going to suffer.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It's just you have to, like, for instance, I work my job. I'm not a fan of my job, and this is a hobby. If somebody eventually wants to come to me one day, they probably won't be like, we'll pay you money to do this. I'm going to say yes, but I don't do it because there's this idea that someday I'm going to make money. It's fun, and I get to talk to cool people like yourself.
Qualify that last part and say that, sometimes you get to talk to cool people, sometimes you get to talk to crazy people like myself.
You're not as crazy as you think.
Yeah, we're not the most normal people in the world either. We're very
pretty easy.
Yeah, we're outside the box a little bit ourselves. People at work think I'm insane.
Yeah, just the people at work.
Well, yeah, him too. But no, there are people out there that really think I'm insane. I also like to act like I'm a little crazier than I am because I think it's funny to watch people kind of react.
Put it this way, dude. If you ever built a shed or put a lock on your basement door that, no one else could get into, I wouldn't think you were doing nothing inconspicuous in there.
Okay, cool.
It's just stuff you don't want other people to see. It's private.
Well, it's like I told our friend David today, I go, David, I'm starting to think that you might not be a serial killer because you lack charm. And he looks at me and goes, I don't need charm, I have a basement.
And how do you get them in the basement? Like, you gotta be pretty charming to get somebody down into your basement.
Good point.
So, you're probably, in our eyes, cooler than I apologize to all our other guests, most people that we speak to, because you're kind of out of the box like us. I'll cut that last part out.
You can't put that on.
Yes.
You can't bury your other guests, man.
I didn't say they weren't cool. I just said you're probably the coolest. I'm allowed to form an opinion.
You can't rank them, though.
Yeah, I mean, you could. That'd be awesome.
I'm doing it.
You could do, like, the PWI has a 500. You could do, like, the Gimmick Table, however many people that you've interviewed.
So it'd be like the 30.
Yeah.
What, 4?
Tell you what, next year, this time, we should have enough to do a March Madness bracket. Definitely at least
There you go.
the 64.
Yeah, definitely will. All right.
And you have people who listen to this, so then they can vote through as to who their favorite guest is.
Probably enough
work.
to make that work. Yeah, maybe.
Hey, when we give free stuff away, they all
Yeah, we'll just have to do a giveaway or two right up to that.
And the only way
They've never heard your show until there's a giveaway, right?
well, the only way they find out about the giveaways is here. So
That's the hook, and then they just want to listen to my voice some more, and that keeps them listening. Anyways,
This show goes through heavy editing before it gets to the final stage, doesn't it?
you will hear on Monday, sir. Yeah, it does a little bit, but for the most part, it's casual. It's meant to be casual.
All right.
It's all for fun.
I feel like I don't ever try to get anything over, put anything over in these interviews. I just answer the questions like I normally would if I was sitting down at the kitchen table.
right? Yeah, and I mean that's what I'm here for. To break that up. Let's talk
All right.
about what's going on with Isys.
Beheadings, bro.
All right, Matt. This is going off the rails.
I like it. That was the whole purpose of the show.
To get completely off the rails.
Sometimes, though, but I think it makes... We've actually gotten comments about
It's pretty fun to get back on the
that's some
rails,
of
too.
people's favorite parts is that when we kind of just go off on tangents. And they enjoy, like, really learning more than just, okay, here's the question, next question, next question. So...
Like you said, those after game interviews, they're way more fun and spicy when you're talking about better details.
Right. What was the guy who pitched the no-hitter for the Padres who was on LSD?
What?
It was,
Fact check.
man, what the
Yeah,
hell is his name?
this has to be Googled.
See, we gotta start getting the actual sound guy here so he can fact check.
Pirates no
You got a computer right there?
LSD. That pocket computer.
Well, I typed in LSD no hitter. Doc Ellis.
Doc.
Yeah, Doc Ellis.
There's there's a movie called Doc Ellis and the LSD No-No.
Doc LSD.
Now, if you hear that,
The,
that doesn't sound like
Doc-
a baseball movie.
Yeah, it does. Sounds like a love story.
LSD no, because no hitter. Oh, I get it.
Do you guys watch baseball at all or no?
Oh, a little bit. Like, I definitely like All-Stars and World Series playoffs.
I'm a Red Sox fan because I hate the Yankees.
Yeah, that's my shtick too.
I am a Red Sox fan because there are no Expos in Montreal anymore.
Yeah, why?
There's supposed to be a vote next year about another expansion, and they have the possibility of having a team in.
All right, well, I hope if they call them the Expos again, it's not like the Cleveland Browns the second time around.
Yo, Browns are making moves this year.
The Browns are making moves every year.
That's also true.
Yeah, I think their off season is going well though.
Yeah.
I would expect them to not be in last place next year.
They need a solid draft, and they could have a productive season.
Yeah. At this point, don't be in last place. That's your first goal.
That's a good goal.
All right, so the LSD no, Doc Ellis and the LSD no. We kind of got off track there, but
We're gonna go more off track with the LSD.
Doc Ellis, he went to rehab after baseball because he was always on something every time he pitched because he was like this, weird, anxious dude. But like he was partying for the weekend and didn't realize that it was the next day already. So he took this LSD like right before he was supposed to go play baseball. And I think he was somewhere and he had to like charter a plane or fly or something like to get to where he needed to be. And he was like in the heart of this thing when he was pitching this game that he pitched this no-hitter. And I think he had a bunch of walks. He might have had like 8-10 walks, something like that. But he didn't have any hits. And like he said, like sometimes the ball was really fast. Sometimes the ball's really slow, sometimes it's big, or sometimes it's small, sometimes he could see the catcher, sometimes he couldn't. But, like, he was able to pitch this, like, incredible game out of his mind crazy. And that's where I was going with that.
I mean, I can see it. Like, that makes you completely unpredictable. Nobody knows what to expect.
and that might be the greatest, like, that might make him the greatest athlete of all time, because this is also, I looked it up, June 12th, 1970. This is, like, at the peak of when acid was the best acid in the world, so you know he was tripping
Right, he had the
balls.
best, because he was pretty popular.
Like, that's better than Babe Ruth being drunk all the time hitting home runs.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, you know, you're drunk, your body's loose, you get that swing going, and it just, you know, moves it right over the wall. But if you're hallucinating out of your head trying to throw strikes, that's got to be something else.
Now, where on this scale does Lawrence Taylor fall?
Between Doc Ellis pitching a no-hitter on LSD and Babe Ruth hitting drunk home runs?
Yeah, how does dude smoking rocks?
I would crack his whack.
I would say right in the middle. I'd say right in the middle because, like, he was probably, you know, within his own mind, but pretty hyped up. Like,
I mean, like,
yeah. I imagine his heart was beating real fast.
Beast mode, like, was invented right there.
The only person's heart who was beating faster is probably the offensive lineman that's staring him down, and he's just, like, foaming at the mouth.
One of his eyes is rolled in the back of his head.
Right. Lawrence Taylor was an incredible linebacker, regardless of anything he was doing on the field and off. Sometimes they're the same thing.
And that brings me to my next point, children. Don't smoke crack.
Which is an excellent cameo for him to do.
That's one of my favorite cameos in any movie.
This really is turning into my favorite episode of all time. This has been wonderful.
I don't know whether to apologize or say you're welcome.
Don't apologize at all. Thank you. This is great. I love it. This is.
I like to get wild, man.
Yeah, we really enjoy when, like, it can just be very organic, and we appreciate you doing that. I do have a couple more questions. What?
Nice segue.
I'm terrible at segues. I actually go back and afterwards and re-record these brilliant sounding segues. You'll hear it all on Monday. No, I don't.
No, you don't.
I wish you did. That would be incredible. If I listened to this interview on Monday, and it didn't even sound like anything that I recorded.
Maybe I'll throw something in there, just at the end.
Say some buzzwords. Give a little space in between, and he'll cut it together into some...
I get a pretty heavy pause after the thing I say. You can put anything you want in there.
I really want to pick your brain on this because I've asked this question a couple of times. If you had the chance to say anything to yourself when you were first starting out, after all these years, what would it be?
Don't be a wrestler, go to college, kid.
I mean...
If I had anything to say to me that would be helpful for wrestling, is that what you're asking?
Yeah. But no, that's a good point, though. But I'm going to argue I mean, for all those people that went to college that are working 9-to-5 jobs and are trapped in boxes, they don't have half the experiences that you do.
Right? Don't go to college, or go to college, don't sing in the band, go to college, don't paint pictures. It's the same thing,
well,
man.
I would say there's people who are going to get into stuff no matter what. I might be one of those people. But going to school, I would say, go to school to learn something that lends itself to progress in a society instead of going to school to get a business degree, which is everyone is getting, so that you can do something that somebody without a business degree can do. Or you guys got business degrees?
No, I don't. I have an associate's degree with an emphasis on graphic design.
Okay, but there's, they say go to school, and they don't tell you what to do. They just say get your education. And a lot of people, they go and they get their education, but they don't learn anything. Sure, for a period of time, they memorize things so that they can regurgitate them on a piece of paper, and at the end of it, when they paid all their money, they can get a piece of paper that says they know something, but that's not learning. That's just completing a series of objectives to get your prize at the end. When I say go to school, I mean go to school, learn something, actually pay attention and take the classes that are going to be beneficial to life and the progress of other people's lives instead of just looking for a way to make money.
Right, take some philosophy, some literature, like learn about society instead of just how to make money.
Right, and I mean you have brilliant people in this world, and you have guys like. Are you familiar with Michio Kaku?
No.
Michio Kaku is a brilliant physicist. He writes books on physics, and they usually get him on, the morning shows or the talk shows when they want to explain something pretty in-depth, physics-based, but they want to explain it in a way that regular people understand. So you have this incredibly brilliant man who does all these shows, but he can still talk to you like a normal person, and he can explain a very difficult concept to you in words that you understand. We need more of that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We need to be more, concerned about our fellow human being than what is good for just us.
Right, because if you go to school, because you've been told to get your business degree so that you can be, a corporate mogul, a primetime player in big business, and you spend your entire life trying to cut down and cut out other people just so you have a more prominent position, that doesn't help people as a whole. So circling all the way back around to what I was saying at the beginning, when I said what I say to myself, I would tell myself, take your time on this planet and be Dr. Michio Kaku. Don't be Donald Trump.
Nobody at this podcast is going to disagree with you there.
No, sir.
No. We don't like to talk politics, but we'll just say we agree with you 100%.
Well, I mean, if you don't at this point, it is very unfortunate.
Or you're a lizard person, and Alex Jones is coming for you.
Alex Jones is always coming for me. I look out my window every night. I can hear him, screaming.
You want a tactical bath?
When going back to his website and the InfoWars, I have read a lot of things there, and there was a time when I used to listen to his program, and there were interesting things on there. But even with his show, when sensationalizing the most wacky, crazy things was how he made money, anything that was interesting on there was thrown out the window.
Right, because you could be saying something good, but because you've discredited yourself with a bunch of nonsense, nobody's going to take what you have to say seriously.
Like even Jesse Ventura was on his show ages ago when he had his books coming out, and he wanted an independent place to have his platform to reach people. Willie Nelson was on there because Willie Nelson's always trying to get pot legalized everywhere, and those are great things to listen to. And I'll listen to that program if the guest is interesting. But now, Hillary Clinton is running a sex trafficking ring out of a pizza shop where they're shipping people to Mars, and I just can't get behind that. Yeah,
you're kind of stretching the truth there, and you got a bunch of yahoos following you, and then those are the yahoos who do crazy stuff.
Yeah. There was one thing that I played for a friend of mine about how Alex Jones was talking on his program about how he actually believed that Hillary Clinton was a real demon. And I'm like, I don't know where you would get the information to support such claims.
Right, first of all, anyone who knows she's a demon is either dead or working for her.
Right.
So,
I would imagine if there were actual demons running around, they would be really good at disguising the fact that they were demons.
Right. Nobody would know.
Yeah, I've watched Supernatural, all right. They hide it pretty well.
Yeah, a demon hunter would be the only person who would know you're a demon.
Right, because they have the skill set.
Right. Exactly. They have supernatural power.
You've never watched the show.
I've seen a few episodes.
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about.
Lacey really likes it.
Oh.
Yeah, my wife has watched the Supernatural program. I refer to the show as Salmon Dean, like the
Salmon Dean.
Dean.
I thought you were going for salmon almondine, almond crusted salmon.
No, just Salmon Dean.
Do you see how we're off our rockers here as well?
Everything seems cool to me, man.
Sipping on the coffee.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't be drinking Death Wish coffee at 11 o'clock at night.
No, I mean, I do have to work tomorrow.
I've never had Death Wish coffee. Is it any good?
It's good. It's really strong. It's like, I forget.
I mean, obviously, but
Do you like real dark coffee?
okay. Like taste-wise,
Yeah.
does it just taste like strong coffee, or does it have a good flavor?
It's got a good flavor. I mean, it's really strong flavor, but I like stronger coffee anyway, so that's...
Sure. So is it, like, let's say for argument's sake that I cut it by half. Would I still enjoy the flavor of the coffee?
Like,
Yeah.
I would say probably make like an Americano if you're going to do that.
Isn't that just a double wrist lock but up top?
I mean, I'm not very good at measuring things, so I can tell you I've probably either put too much coffee grounds in there and not enough, and usually it tastes okay, except for when you put too much in there and you can taste the coffee grounds in the coffee.
Yeah.
But it's not like
You've done
too
it wrong at that
strong.
point.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too strong. Like if you add a little cream and sugar or whatever, it doesn't make it mild. It's it's got a solid flavor. It's good. It's just it is really high caffeine. Like you can tell you start getting sweaty.
Yeah, it gets you wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like 456 times the required, or like the recommended dosage of caffeine a day.
It's like 16
It comes
cups,
to Death
it
Wish.
said, or something.
Yeah, I drink a whole pot usually to myself.
Yeah.
And then they have, I don't know if you ever heard of Ass Kickers coffee.
It's even higher.
I don't think so.
I think it's only still in Australia, but it's a ridiculous amount higher than the lethal dose of coffee. It was invented by a nurse working like triple shifts, and you can only sip it because if you drink a whole cup, you'll die.
So, I have this 8 o'clock coffee that I got, but it's called like Awake or something, and it's got like guarana and taurine in it or whatever. It's like it's got like 5-hour energy mixed in with the coffee grounds.
Yeah, that's really what you're doing. You buy regular coffee from like the groceries or like Folgers, and you just throw 5-hour energy in there.
Boom. Why doesn't 5-hour energy make coffee creamer? Whoa. Oh shit. Gonna tweet them right now.
I'm trying to think. I feel like I've seen something weird by them. I've never seen the protein gimmicks, but I don't know. I feel like I saw something else too. Who knows? I might be making that up. Maybe me and Doc Ellis saw it together.
I actually, you know what? Come to think of it, I have seen the little like creamer packet things that you get at the gas station. I have seen one that was an energy on it. It wasn't 5-hour, but I do recall one that was an energy shot. Yep. So it has been invented. You know, damn it.
Everything's been
Back to the
invented.
drawing board.
Lost that one.
That was really your end, dude. That was
That's
gonna be
it.
the thing
I thought that was
made you-
gonna be my saving grace.
Isn't that somebody's finish?
It probably it better be. I don't
The
know.
saving finish? Or the saving grace, rather?
Oh, I thought you meant 5-hour energy creamer.
No. I think somebody's finish is called the saving grace, isn't it?
Devon Dudley.
What is it?
So it's like a reverse. Looks like he's gonna do like a reverse DDT, but then he picks him up and slams him on the ground, like rotates and slams him on the ground.
Kind of like rotate them?
Yeah.
Like a roll of the dice? Does he spin like a neck breaker holding the man?
He lifts him up.
He lifts him up, and then what does he do?
He kind of rotates like 90 degrees and drops him down, like slams him on the ground.
Okay, so he doesn't spin. He doesn't like corkscrew the bodies. He just turns around.
Yeah. So he puts him in.
Oh yeah, he starts them out in like kind of what looks like a Sister Abigail, and then picks them up,
And does like a body slam onto their back.
like stands them straight up in the air on his shoulder.
Sort of like a Shattered Dreams.
I think.
I don't know. I mean, that's a weird move to explain. He picks them up and puts them on his shoulder straight up.
I'm just going to look at it when I get off the phone with you guys anyway.
You're like, these idiots.
But it starts out like a Sister Abigail, like that weird reverse DDT, and he's like holding them there.
Doesn't a Sister Abigail start out in like a you're going to make out with somebody position?
Yeah, but I think that's just more Bray Wyatt.
That's him like leaning in on it.
He's like, hey, how you doing? How's it going?
All right. I knew it was a finish.
He does get pretty close to them sometimes. I'm sure they love it.
I mean, as long as your breath smells good, I don't think it'd be a problem.
I mean, the dude
Right.
eats worms, so
I
probably
don't think
not.
he really
Which is
eats
actually,
worms.
that is a real problem in wrestling.
Do you want to make a public service announcement while we have you on the air?
Get some Dentine ice.
No, if you're going to wrestle, brush your teeth. That's as easy as it gets.
Even better, if you're gonna live, brush your teeth.
Yeah, if you're gonna be a person.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't care about that because I don't have to get that close to people anyway. But
All right.
if that's not your thing, it's fine. But if you have to wrestle me, please wash the inside of your mouth.
Just start just bringing scope to all your matches and giving it to everybody.
Spike Dudley used to brush his teeth like before every single match.
That's very polite.
But also, you want those nice pearly whites to shine on camera.
I suppose. It was probably to get rid of the booze smell, but whatever.
I'm not drunk.
Dude, you are hammered. No, you can't smell it on my breath.
Yeah, but you can't stand up, bro.
That doesn't mean you're drunk. That just means you have vertigo.
I'm just dizzy.
I have an ear infection.
Same thing. I go out every Friday night and get vertigo.
I'm not drunk, officer. My vertigo is just really
Well, should you still be driving with vertigo kicking in?
Another public service announcement. Don't drive when your vertigo is kicking in.
No, man, they will make you blow in the breathalyzer if you're driving on vertigo.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I wonder how it registers and what's the legal limit of vertigo.
You know what?
Don't think
it's identical to booze.
Yeah.
Oddly enough.
So it registers on the breathalyzer, like, oh, you're at 7 vertigo right now, man.
Right, and they make you do the roadside Olympics, like they say, and they go, well, you can't do that, so blow in this thing. And I said, man, the vertigo is going to register on there. I can't blow in there.
You're what?
My vertigo.
Right. So we're just gonna take you to jail now.
So after this episode, Bats, we're gonna go for a car ride, and I'm just gonna drive around like I'm drunk. I'm completely sober, and I'm just gonna try to. No, I'll still get in trouble for reckless driving.
I'm gonna get in trouble. It's gonna be like, what kind of fucking idiot are you that's just letting him drive around like this?
Especially on the vertigo.
Right.
I got the verts.
That death wish gave me a ton of vertigo, man.
You know what gives me the worst vertigo? When they got the 40 ounces of malt liquor on sale, gives me the worst vertigo.
It's a tall order, man.
A little Big Bear, a little Colt Fort, Old English. That reminds me of.
You know what gives me the worst vertigo is fucking wine.
I can see that. You know what I like about wine? It comes in a glass.
It's
They put the cork in the top of the glass so it doesn't spill out anywhere, and then you just drink it right out of the glass.
That's true.
You have 2-3 of those glasses, you get bad vertigo.
Wow,
that's a lot of vertigo.
16-ounce glasses.
It's 1.5 liter glasses.
Is that out there?
I think that's a standard bottle of wine. Is 1 point, or maybe it's 750 is the smaller size, and then I don't know. I was looking at them last time I was at the liquor store, but then I bought some.
If you don't got a lot of money for the same price, you can get about a gallon.
Yeah.
That doesn't have a cork on it though. That's a screw top glass.
Carlo Rossi.
Yes. Doesn't that come in a box?
Well, if you've ever seen Parks and Rec, Ron Swanson does this move with a bottle of moonshine where he hooks it with his pinky and flings it up onto his shoulder and chugs it. So you can do that with a bottle of Carlo Rossi.
You know what we need to do? Instead of talking about drinking Big Bear, we need to make more beer.
Yeah, we got to brew that.
We have a Belgian ale that we need to make.
Yeah. All right.
Are we doing an interview, or are you guys making plans for tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't know.
This we may have said it too. I think I think the interview stopped like 10 minutes ago, and we just started talking about the wildest things. Vertigo.
I thought it was still part of the interview.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's probably gonna get.
Well, I was just gonna be like, hey, we got to make some beer. Next time you're excited, I should bring you some beer.
Okay.
That we make. See, there was a point. That was a question for the interview.
That's
would you like
dependent on if we make.
Would you like some beer?
Would you like some beer if I make it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
What does the if I make it part even have to be there?
I don't know.
Because it doesn't have to be there for me.
I don't know your beer production schedule or your reliability on bringing said beer to an event.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if I said I never run with scissors, I don't need to add the with scissors part to that.
Right, because you don't run.
Right.
I ran once. Pretty good.
It's not worth it. I'm going to tell you right now, running's not worth it.
Why am I breathing so hard? What is, am I dying?
Why would anybody do that to themselves? You're ridiculous.
I was watching a thing about, what's his name? Darryl Green? Does that sound like a quarterback from the Redskins once upon a time?
Gail Green?
Darryl
Green?
I was watching a thing on him because I think he went to the same school as Carl Lewis, and they were talking about how fast Darryl Green was, and they said that he beat Carl Lewis in a race, and Carl Lewis was on TV, and he was talking about how, like listen, he was really fast, and I know, like, the legend of him has grown, but he never once beat me in a race.
Ooh.
And then Carl Lewis sang the national anthem at that Bulls game and murdered it. Maybe he had vertigo that day.
Hey, it's probably still better than me doing it. All right, I should never be allowed in front of a microphone to sing. I probably shouldn't be allowed.
I should be never allowed in front of a microphone, period.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say, is that I'm still sitting in front of a microphone right now, and I probably shouldn't be. But I paid for him, so I guess I get to make the rules on that one.
Are you going to sing? What do you got?
I got no.
Nothing? Can you give me a little something?
I got, you don't, Bats, you can, he's the singer of the group here.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere.
You invited Carl Lewis into your studio. That's very nice of you.
Oh boy, this is fun. People are gonna be like, "What? You guys go away for 3 weeks and then you come back and you don't do a wrestling podcast?" I'll be like, "We
got a lot of the wrestling stuff out of the way in the beginning. So if people were interested in that, they got it. But now we're talking about us."
Are there no other questions? I thought you had more questions.
There's more questions, actually. Yeah.
There are a few more.
This is just like as far off the rails as you can go.
Yeah. So we can wrap it back to wrestling.
But watch Matt pull an awesome segue and get us back on.
Well, it's not going to be awesome because it's going to say we can get back. I got a few more questions here about wrestling. Really, at the end of the day, what has all this meant to you?
Okay. It's just been my life. I've been wrestling for, just over 18 years now, and I'm 36, so that means I have spent half my life in wrestling. So all my entire life as an adult has been spent in and around wrestling. So, like, what has it all meant to me? My life as an adult. That's it. That's exactly what wrestling has been to me.
That's a good way of putting it. A lot of people, wouldn't put it that way, but it's a very cool and interesting way to put it. How can people follow you on social media?
They can follow me on Twitter. It is @RealEffects. However, if you follow me on Twitter, I don't actually tweet anything. I do retweet and like a lot of things, mostly Madden-based, because if you retweet and like EA Sports stuff, sometimes they will give you free things for the game. So if you want information on me following it that way, not a good idea unless you like Madden.
Well, when we end this, let me talk to you about that.
Okay.
That was so creepy.
Did I play you recently?
No.
It's like this is why we did this interview. You beat me.
Yeah, this is all play.
No, I got this really great thing that happened to me like 2 days ago. I was playing Weekend League in Madden, and this dude sends me a message during our game. He's beating me 3-0. We're like in the third quarter, and he sends me a message, and he's like, "Stop abusing the routes. I'm going to report you to EA Sports if you don't stop abusing routes." And I was like, "Dude, what are you talking about? You're beating me." And like he keeps going on. He's like, "Oh, you're spamming the plays," and I'm like, "Okay, fine." So I start just running the ball on him, and I just start running all over him. And he messages me again, and he's like, "If you score, I'm going to report you." So the dude is like, he's afraid to lose, and he's gonna report me if I score on him. So I break like a 30-plus yard run right at the middle of the score, and he's like, "That's it. You can kiss your team goodbye." And he said this phrase "permaban," which I thought was funny, by this coming Friday. And he kept calling my I play Ultimate Team. I don't know if you know what that is or not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I play Ultimate Team, so he kept calling my team a credit card team because I have good guys on my team. And I was like, man, I have not spent a single extra dollar on this team. I just grind solos all the time. And like, dude's going off, whatever. And he gets the ball back, and he claimed that I was abusing C routes. I don't know how familiar you are with the game. the C routes sometimes can be a little more open than other routes. Sometimes the defenders won't play them that well.
Like a little down and out swing.
Yeah. It looks like a C. Like the receiver on the outside will come in straight up and then go back out towards the sideline.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So he runs one of those and he gets the catch. And I go, okay, I see what he's going to do. He's going to think he's cool and try to run C routes on me to show me that no one can stop him. So of course the next thing I set up is a defensive play that is specifically to counteract C routes. And like he throws the ball, I pick it, I run it back, and I just send him a message. Nice C route. I guess they don't always work.
Did he quit?
He did quit.
Yeah.
He did quit. He quit, and then he called me a loser, and I said, actually, I won by scoring that running touchdown on you, and then you quit when I got that interception.
I'm pretty sure quitting at anything makes you the loser.
It makes you not the winner?
Right.
Also, how's your permaban going?
Yeah.
It's supposed to happen tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. I was thinking about tomorrow signing in and seeing if he is online, and if he is, sending him an invite to play another game.
He might.
You should send him a message. Yo, I'd play you, man, but I got banned. What the fuck?
Dude, he totally banned me.
Oh,
I had to kiss my credit card team goodbye.
No more C routes.
They actually took my credit card.
They left the team, but they took my credit card. It's real weird.
Oh, kids these days.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I thought it was a child, but his name was like, blah, 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 1984, and I was like, wait a second.
No.
Let's say, for argument's sake, that he was born in 84. That makes him only 3 years younger than I am.
That's older than me. But it could be like somebody's kid.
It could be, yeah.
Like it could be like a 12-year-old kid.
I hope so. I taught him a lesson his daddy never taught.
You made him quit.
Don't do C routes all the time.
That if you're going to complain about other C routes and you try to throw them yourself, be prepared to have them picked off.
That's called karmatic justice.
I don't think so. I think it was just knowing what he was going to do and being better.
Yeah. Or karmatic justice. Let me have my karmatic justice.
Well, I mean, because I did karma, but everybody uses it wrong. Because there is no, you don't get the what is it? What am I looking for? Searching for my words. I left them all in that Madden game, I think. You don't get the other side of the karma until the next cycle. So like
you don't get the yang to the yin.
Everything that you do now, good and bad, like nothing cancels out each other. They just add up until the next cycle, and then you have to deal with it based on the prior cycle in the new cycle.
Does that register on a breathalyzer? Like where you are at within the yin and the yang? Like will that tell me how close I am to having a better life next time around?
Where I'm at in my cycle, does that register on a breathalyzer?
Well, yeah.
How much of
test, bro.
How much of the vertigo does that cancel out?
It doesn't.
You have the vertigo.
Karma does not affect the vertigo.
It's the only thing not affected by karma. That and C routes.
The part you want to get involved in when you're having a high vertigo day is how well you are in talking yourself out of putting your mouth on that breathalyzer. That's where that comes in.
Well, a lot of good life lessons in this episode today, people. You're welcome. Now, when can we catch you in the ring again?
I should probably know the answer to that. I don't know. When's the next Excite show?
The 29th of April. Excite versus the World.
Yeah, I'm going to go to that.
All right.
I'll be there.
All right.
But there's have you heard of the new pro wrestling? It's like the student school shows that they're on YouTube.
Yes.
I do those, so I'm going to be at those too. For legal purposes, I cannot tell you when they are because they're not open to the public. Because the New York State Athletic Commission will come to them and shut them down. Do you want to know why?
Yes.
All right. Because they are school and student shows, the gentleman who runs Ultimate Wrestling, have you heard of this? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, good. I'm going to put him out there because I don't like him anyway. He runs the shows. His name is Papa Terry Cadillac. He is never a good wrestler, never a fully trained wrestler, and he gets to run shows, and he turned in the last student show. So the students at the school who just want to perform in front of people to better themselves could not do that because there would be an audience there, and that would consider it a show, so they had to shut it down. Now, with them not being open to the public, they can be done, but it is unfortunate that someone who probably should never be around a ring, in a ring, near a ring, running a wrestling show, can shut down a show or not show where a student has the opportunity to better themselves in front of people. It blows my mind.
Now, I'm still stuck on Papa Cherry Cadillac.
Terry Cadillac.
Oh, okay.
Papa Cherry.
I don't know where I got that from,
God.
but I think that's actually a good name for somebody.
I think my first car was a Cadillac. I don't know if that went on in there, though. That's a true story. My first car was a Cadillac. 1986, Cadillac Eldorado.
Nice.
Dorado. Ooh.
But there's so
Power
much.
seats, heated seats. Oh, man, it was styling.
Yeah, no, those are the like luxury Cadillacs, man.
Also, this little quick story. Luscious Johnny Valiant passed away recently. I only have one Johnny Valiant story, and I used to drive that Cadillac to shows. He saw that Cadillac, and all night long was pestering me to try and buy that Cadillac off. It's the only Johnny Valiant story that I have.
Was he at least going to give you a good deal for it?
I did not entertain any prices because it was, in fact, my only car. And I was in New Jersey, and I'm like, I don't know, do I sell you this car and then walk from New Jersey to my house in New York?
And this is well before Uber, so.
Yes. This was, I didn't even have a GPS.
Wait, he wasn't even going to give you a ride home in it?
Why would he? Then he's got to drive 5 hours back to my house and then 5 hours back to his house.
I mean, you could have
10-hour round trip.
you could have stipulated that in the deal, but it sounds like you didn't really even want to give up the gold car.
No.
Right.
Plus, Johnny wasn't no fool. He's not gonna do that.
He's like, yeah, sure, man. Let me just pull it around.
I'll get your money, too.
Is that the answer to what is wrestling meant to me?
Yeah, that's a good answer, though.
Sweet.
A Cadillac Eldorado.
A Cadillac Eldorado. I think you're going to have to somehow incorporate that into this week's logo, Bats.
An Eldorado?
A Cadillac Eldorado. Cataracts Eldorado.
Cataracts Eldorado. Whoa. Oh, maybe you could be Papa
You
Cherry
make a
Pinto.
logo, and you can put a picture of Johnny V in the Cadillac. That'd be sweet.
All right, yeah, we'll definitely figure it out.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, man.
Thank you so much. This was a wonderful time. Definitely one of our most interesting interviews and a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun.
I appreciate that.
All right, everybody. That's it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us today around the Gimmick Table. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy day and giving us a listen. And also a big thank you to our guest, Isys Ephex. This was a great episode.
I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as we did, because that was fun.
I had a lot of fun, man. I think he blew our minds like 700 times during that episode. Maybe not that much, but I definitely feel
once or twice.
I definitely feel like he gave 110%.
He gave 120%.
And if you're a fan of the show and you want to give 120%, make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasting fix from. You can also interact with us on social media. You can find us on Twitter at @gimmick_table. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. Just search the Gimmick Table Wrestling Podcast. And there's always our website, gimmicktablepod.com, where you can find all our interviews, contest information, and all of Bats' fabulous artwork. So make sure you don't miss out on any of that. Make sure you support our friends at the Podcasting World Order. They're available on all major platforms, including iTunes and Google Play. You got the WNA podcast, the Wretched Wrestling, the Smart Spot podcast, Boar Meets World, and Bats' personal favorite, the Brocast podcast. And that's the show, everybody. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed doing it. We'll be back next week.
See ya.